Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Jay the Storyteller and I'm going to go through the story of the game Black Myth Wukong with you guys. Today we'll be focusing on chapter 2, Yellow Sand, Desolate, Dusk. Like always, we'll go through the story and the key characters and I'll talk about how they were related in the original Journey to the West. Hopefully it can help you guys understand the story a little bit better. For the record, this chapter is rather depressing and full of tragedies, so it may not be as funny as the previous ones, but I'll try my best. Well, without further ado, let's begin. The Yellow Wing Ridge used to be a beautiful place, but it was also dangerous because there were a lot of Yaoguais in it. But of course, the gang wasn't afraid, so they just went straight in. Clearly, something was going to happen. They ran into a tiger, which turned out to be a Yaoguai. As you can guess, the Tiger Vanguard. Not this one though, this one, the Tiger Father. We'll talk about that in a bit. Anyway, the Tiger Vanguard peeled off its own skin and cast a spell that tricked Wukong and Bajie. Damn, I wonder how many skins he got. He must be rich to buy this many skins. After tricking Wukong and Bajie, of course, he just grabbed the Tang Monk back to the cave. In the cave, the Tang Monk met the master, the Yellow Wing Guai, or as he called himself in the game, the Yellow Wing Sage. Unsurprisingly, another fight for Wukong, but the Yellow Wing was quite noob and he couldn't match Wukong's power. But he had a very powerful spell, the Samadhi Wind. As I mentioned in my first video, Wukong's body was so strong that the rock-solid spell we used in the game was only his permanent passive. His only weakness was his eyes, and the Samadhi Wind, along with the dusts, caused a great deal of damage to his eyes and he went blind. Listen to your heart. Fortunately, Bajie was around. He carried Wukong and they found the cabin in the woods to rest in. There were countless monsters and demons. Oh, sorry, wrong movie. The owner of the cabin, an old lady, happened to have the medicine to cure his eyes. How convenient was that? Of course, it wasn't just coincidence. The next day they woke up and the cabin was gone. Then they realized it was the celestial gods who helped them and healed Wukong's eyes. Time for the comeback, and this time Wukong took it very seriously. The Tiger Vanguard couldn't last 3 rounds this time. He tried to run away, but got intercepted by Bajie, and Bajie finished him, the kill-stealing pig. Then Wukong transformed into a butterfly. In the novel, it was a mosquito, but it doesn't matter. He flew into the cave and told Tang Monk to relax. Then he became a bug, literally, to see if he can get useful information. Well, it was his lucky day, as the minions asked the Yellow Wing, "My king, what should we do if Sun Wukong bring help?" Yellow Wing was like, "Don't worry, as long as he doesn't bring Bodhisattva Lingji, we're good, because no one else can deal with my Samadhi Wind." Yeah, him. Of course, Wukong got Lingji's help and subdued the Yellow Wing Guai. You know, a yellow rat. Then Lingji grabbed him, and the gang continued their journey. Pretty simple, huh? Well, it wasn't that simple in the game. Clearly, there were a lot of things happened here at the Yellow Wing Ridge, apart from the novel. It all began in the Kingdom of Sahali. Originally, it was called the Kingdom of Flowing Sand. It was located at the end of the West Sea, where the sun sets. You know, the earth was flat, so the sun had to rest somewhere, and it just sinks into the West Sea. The seawater would boil, making huge noises that could kill the children in the city, and there wasn't much to do about it, as it was a natural disaster. So the Kingdom of the Flowing Sand had no choice but to keep on suffering, until one day the Buddha gave them a drum that could neutralize the noise and save the children. As the result, the kingdom began worshipping the Buddha. They built countless temples, pagodas, and even gold statues of the Buddha. And here it comes, the classic conflict between the theocracy and the royalty. The king didn't like the fact that his people worshipped the Buddha over him. Classic. So he decided to end the worship of the Buddha. You know, he ordered to break all the temples and statues of the Buddha. And he even ordered to change the name of the kingdom. And that's why it was called the Kingdom of Sahali. Right after his action, a giant beetle suddenly started appearing in the kingdom when the drum was played. The beetle had unbreakable armor and no mortals could harm him, and the kingdom called it the disaster of Fuba. Strange, huh? A giant beetle with a Buddha face on its back just appeared right after the king decided to end Buddhism in his kingdom. Then our good buddy, Yellow Wing, came in and saved the day. Notice that this happened before the journey. The Yellow Wing Guai was a rat who lived in Mount Lingshan, who gained Dharma and became a Yao Guai. He stole the lamp oil from the Buddha's temple and escaped. So honestly, he isn't really a bad Yaoguai, he just lacked teaching. Because clearly he was fighting for the people here, as Fu Ban really wasn't his concern. He helped because he just couldn't watch the people suffer. Compassionate he was.
On the folks' behalf, I thank you.
So he really wasn't evil, and even in the journey, he wasn't evil either. As I mentioned before, it was his henchman, the Tiger Vanguard, who grabbed Tang Monk. The tiger suggested to eat Tang Monk because rumors said that Tang Monk's meat can grant immortality. But the Yellow Wind didn't agree because he didn't want any trouble. And plus, he was afraid of Sun Wukong, as the famous great sage equal to heaven. Many Yaoguais feared him, so Yellow Wind only wanted to return Tang Monk and not to mess with Sun Wukong. But the Tiger Vanguard insisted. He was like, "Don't worry, my king, I got this. Let me go fetch the monkey's head for ya." You know the rest. He was killed by Bajie in the end. And that was why the Yellow Wing Guai fought Wukong in the journey. Not because of his greed, but because he was furious and wanted to avenge for his henchmen. So he was rather a compassionate character and loyal to his friends. So what the hell happened to make him the villain he was? Well, let's find out. After the Yellow Wing ended the disaster of Fuba, the king was so grateful that he asked Yellow Wing to stay in the kingdom and entitled him as the royal sage. Back then, Yellow Wing was just a young Yaoguai, and he wanted all Yaoguais to be able to live in dignity. As the royal sage, he convinced the king to issue the Rodent Reverence Edict and allowed Yaoguais to live in the city. Many people were against the edict, including the first and third prince, as they didn't want to live with the Yaoguais under the same roof. That's so fucking racist. But the king insisted to enforce the edict, and guess what happened? Yep, the whole kingdom just turned into rat guys, including the royal family. As I mentioned, the first prince was totally against the Rodent Reverence Edict. He even had a huge fight with his father. He always thought that the royal sage had evil schemes, and the king decided to imprison him. One day his cell wasn't locked, so he got out and he saw rat guys everywhere. He was worried about his father, so he rushed into his father's palace. Then he saw a rat guy sitting in his father's throne and wearing his father's clothes. He tried to kill the rat guy, but he failed. And the rat guy was speaking in his father's voice. And he looked in the mirror. All he could see was an enormous rat guy. As the best fighter of the kingdom, he became the strongest rat. So the first prince just lost his mind and disappeared from them. Next thing we know, he was crazy and he ate his father alive. What a tragedy. Poor king and the poor second prince. The first prince was the best fighter of the kingdom, and the third prince was extremely smart and knowledgeable. He was nothing special and was least favored by the king. Yet here he was, always by his father's side, protecting his father till his end. Another tragedy. As for the third prince, he was also against the Rodent Reverence Edict, and he left the kingdom and somehow ended up in the prison in chapter 3, and we'll continue his story in the next episode. After the whole kingdom turned into rat guys, the Yellow Wind blamed himself, as he said it was a disaster he brought upon them, and he left the kingdom in frustration. But the ragways in the kingdom had nowhere to go, so they chose to follow the Yellow Wing as their master and settled in the Yellow Wing Ridge. And that's why there were ragways everywhere. Poor souls that used to be humans. Screw the evil curse, man. When the Yellow Wing Guai arrived at the Yellow Wing Ridge, there was a giant stone guai with Buddha face on its back, rampaging and slaughtering the local stone guais. Yeah, the Shigandam! Nah, it's actually pronounced as Shigandang. What a pity. The name looked a lot more fun to pronounce. So who is this Shigandang character? And why were there Buddha faces on its back? And why was it fighting with the local stone guys? Shouldn't they be friends? Well, let's start from the beginning. There were two mountain deities here in the Yellow Wing Ridge. The mother of stones and father of stones. They even had a child, the son of stones. Jeez. I wonder how they reproduced. Nah, I was just kidding. They weren't called the father and mother of stones at first. Back then, they were just normal stone guys, selected by the court to be the mountain deities. One day, some strange Buddha heads appeared in the ridge. Something like this. The Buddha heads were nothing but a danger to the local creatures, as they would jump on the animals and devour them. One day, a brave stone guy decided to destroy the heads, and he did. But even after it got crushed, the Buddha heads were still alive, and they emerged with the stone guy and turned into stone Buddha heads. As you can imagine, the poor stone guy was twisted by the head and eventually turned into the destructive monster, 石敢当. As facing such a great threat, the other stone guys united, led by the two mountain deities, and they pressed on the final attack. As they were about to lose, the yellow winged guy arrived and saved the day. By the way, the yellow wing joined with Fury because he was familiar with those Buddha heads, just like the one on the giant beetle, Fubai. It seems like the Buddha heads were everywhere, searching oil. Sorry, I mean taking lives. Anyway, the yellow winged guy subdued the 石敢当 and took out the eyeballs from the Buddha heads, placing them in the mountains as a seal of the giant guy. Then he took the essence of 石敢当 and divided it into two, gave them to the two mountain deities. The two gained huge power from the essences and were able to transform into human bodies. And that's how they were able to have a child, and why they were called the mother and father of stones. Since then, the stone guys called the yellow winged guy the yellow winged sage and sworn to follow him. A happy ending, huh? Well, not for this guy, the man in stone. This was the keeper of the yellow winged bridge, a backstabbing bastard. As a keeper, he was supposed to associate with the mountain deities to protect the livings in the region, but instead, he chickened out when the stone guys were united against 石敢当, and he also chose to sit out when the yellow winged guy asked for his help. Naturally, he had no share in the loot, but he envied the essences that the two mountain deities got, as they were able to create new stone guys by their will. What he didn't know was that the creation of the new stone guys would at the cost of their own will, their own energy. See, even your guys had to obey the law of conservation of energy. Yay, physics! Anyway, the keeper of the Yellow Wing Ridge tried to plunder the essence from the Mother of Stones. He succeeded, or at least half of it. He took half of her essence, but he also turned into the form that we saw, and was smacked into the ground by the Stone Vanguard, and was stuck in there ever since. After that, all he thought about was to getting the other half, and he tricked us to get it for him. You lying, backstabbing son of a bitch. He deserved every single misery happened to him. And let's not waste any more time on him. As for the Stone Vanguard, it was a creation of Mother of Stones, with most of her power. He stopped the Yellow Winged Guy as he was gonna visit the Mother of Stones. Then the Yellow Winged Guy ordered the new Tiger Vanguard to remind him who's the boss. The tiger was like, yo bro, you know we can be the yellow rat, right? So just chill, otherwise it would be ugly for both of us. The next day, the Yellow Winged Guy had one more Vanguard, whose duty was to guard the seal of 石敢当 until we came and released it. Then the Stone Vanguard died serving its duty. Sorry, but I really didn't mean that. Let me avenge you. You shall not pass! Now that we've covered the rats and stones, let's look at the pussies. I mean the tigers. The elder brother, the little brother, and the father. We know that the father, the old Tiger Vanguard, was killed in the journey, but it was really his ego that killed him. Not much to talk about. After his death and the Yellow Winged Guy subdued by Bodhisattva Lingji, his sons, the two young tigers, had a really tough time surviving. Fortunately, their father taught them well, so they made it through. The elder tiger learned his father's ways, uniting the lesser Yaoguais, and even offered protection for the people. The villagers worshipped him as the tiger god, and even built a temple for him. So the tiger brothers just lived happily with people's offerings, until the day the Yellow Winged Guy returned to the Yellow Winged Ridge. The little brother suggested to take a revenge for his father, because the Yellow Winged Guy set out and let their father die. And of course, they lost, and the younger tiger was severely wounded. And the elder one had to bend the knees in exchange of his brother's life. After hearing their story, the Yellow Winged Guy decided to give him the title of his father, the Tiger Vanguard. But after waking up, the younger tiger didn't take the news so well. He was angry that his elder brother just take all the titles and all the credits. He stormed out and severed the bond with his brother, a spoiled, ungrateful brat. As you can imagine, the elder brother hated the Yellow Wing so bad. In his perspective, the Yellow Winged Guy ruined his family twice. But he couldn't match the yellow winged guy's power, so he unleashed his rage against the rats. You know, a rat a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah, boy.
Don't worry, bro. Let's get you out of your misery for good. Then, at the bottom of the well, we will meet the younger tiger, as he now became a mad tiger. After parting ways with his brother, he had been hiding in the well and recovered, and waiting for the opportunity to revenge. And one day, a human climbed down to the well. The mad tiger was curious, so he asked, "Who are you?" The man was a fine swordsman, living in the village. But after the yellow winged guy returned, his wife and son were harmed by the ever-howling Samadhi wind. His wife died and his son was dying, so he went on searching for a cure for his son. The mad tiger was like, "Well, you're in luck. You are in the presence of the tiger god." Then he claimed the reputation of his brother, the actual tiger god. He said, "Bring me your son and I'll heal him." He used the gore that his brother gave him. The gore had the power of healing, and just by filling it with water. Seeing his son got better instantly after drinking from the gore, the man was beyond happy and agreed to deal with the mad tiger. He would lure the villagers into the well for the mad tiger to eat, in exchange of his son's treatments, and that's why he was called the tiger's acolyte. And of course, the villagers found out the scheme, and the poor kid was beaten to death by the angry villagers. Seeing his son's death, he lost it and slaughtered the whole village. But that doesn't bring his son back. Through the treatments, the mad tiger gradually grew care and trust of the boy. When the boy and the father stopped showing up, he got out of the well to see what happened, and saw the village was ruined and the coffin with the boy inside. He carried the coffin back to his well to honor the memory of his only friend, hoping that one day he'll be strong enough to stop the wind. Another tragedy, a poor boy paid for the mistakes of his father. Then the yellow-robed squire, or as his true identity, Zhu Zizhen, the boar of the Mei Mountain brothers, also sent here by Erlang, with a mission to guide us and test our strength. Not sure about the test part though, more like a pop quiz. Ha, a noob pig. Anyway, he gave us a series of tasks, got us to go from here and there that seemed unrelated to the game, but if we really look into it, we can see that he really was just making us to learn what happened here. See as he sees, and feel as he feels. Then he showed us what happened at the beginning, the story of the forgotten kingdom of flowing sand. And now the story is clear. Bodhisattva Lingji was behind all disasters happened to the kingdom of flowing sand. He sent his mount, Fuba, after the king turned against Buddhism. And by the way, in the journey, many Yaoguais were mounts of wands above. But again, story for another time. Anyway, Lingji also turned the whole kingdom into rat guys after the rodent reverence edict. In the portrait, he was also the cause of the incident of Shigandang, a disgusting Buddha. That's why the yellow winged guy hated him so much. After the journey, Lingji took him as his disciple, but he really was just a pawn of the greater plan regarding Wukong's relics. Of course, the yellow winged guy didn't trust the ones above. He made a plan B for himself. He took Lingji's head as a vessel to absorb the relic's power. As he said, the one who brought disasters upon others will have disasters brought upon him. If not by me, then someone else. He wanted to have the right to say no in the scheme, but clearly he didn't have enough time. Sorry bro, and I mean it this time. We could have been best buddies. Fuck the hypocrites and their evil schemes. They are just disgusting. Especially Lingji, he was literally disgusting. Ew. Then he gave us the second relic, the ears. Let's just get out of this depressing chapter.
头上，烈日倒下了，这就一怪来多少
Men, beasts, Buddhas, Yaoguais. Each of them bears a distinct root from birth, superior and inferior. None should disturb what's decided. Am I right, Sun Wukong?
Well, the animation was very interesting. The young scholar saved the little fox and then chose to kill it just because of a bad dream he had. So he went from good to evil just because of simple choice. And that's what this chapter was trying to tell us. The choices we make define who we are. A Yaoguai is no longer a Yaoguai if he chose to fight with other people. And the Buddha is no longer a Buddha if he chose to kill the innocent lives. The yellow-winged Guai chose to fight for the people at the beginning, and that's what made him the hero. But then he just watched when his rats were being eaten by the tiger. Also, he even killed innocent lives himself with the yellow-wing formation and ever-hollowing Samadhi wind. Good or evil, it's all about the choices. Anyway, I'm Jade Storyteller, and thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please subscribe, it will mean a lot to me. 欲知后事如何？且听下回分解。